People who often like to have hours-long conversations. How do you manage to talk so long without running out of things to say, and doesn't it make you tired to talk for such a long time? With the right person. When you have a connection. Sometimes conversation is practically effortless. There is a natural flow to conversation. Especially after you've known the person a while. I am an introvert. So it does usually make me tired to talk for a long time. Yes. But there are a few people who have somehow managed to get into my inner introvert circle. And talking to them doesn't tire me. Well, it depends on the other person. If they give you really short answers and don't engage much, I run out of things to talk about really fast, but if the other person continues the conversation, before we know it, a few hours have passed. It's invigorating, if not dehydrating, to vibe with someone and swap stories and experiences with them for hours on end. I'm generally introverted, but if you get me with the right people, I can easily talk for hours. I'll share a story of the best Valentine's Day I ever had. My plans kinda fell through. My roommates, who were and still are together, didn't have anything planned for Valentine's Day. They have their own thing. So we all ended up getting drunk together. Well, my homie started going on about Warhammer 40k, which I had only a vague knowledge of at the time. He proceeded to spend 3 hours explaining various things to me and looking up stuff. I couldn't help but admire his passion, and I got into the lore myself. But we spent the entire night jumping from conversation to conversation about various genres, until we both passed out on the couch. That was some fun times. I generally just don't know when to shut TF up. I like long conversations because there is so much to talk about in this world. Talk about what you like, dislike, what you're for and what you're against, what you find bland, and what you're passionate about. Talk about how something made you feel, versus something that you learned through adversity, or a failure you made that has given you perspective. It's hard to have long conversations with people who give one-word responses. I think your partner makes all the difference when it comes to this. I've had a few rare times where I couldn't get enough of someone. In which case, it almost doesn't matter what they say. I'm happy. That's when it's a pleasure, not a chore. Otherwise, I just won't do it either. Who is a fictional character that you're glad isn't real, and why? Jigsaw. I don't want to make some mistake in my life and get killed for it. Have you seen the petty shit people get abducted for in some of those movies? Sandman. Imagine some stupid MF comes every night in your house and puts fucking sand in your eyes. Kirby. He could eat everything you hold dear. Freddy Krueger by a lot. Assuming he at any point gets tired of Elm Street kids. Kratos. Sure, he's a single dad just doing his best now, but he killed an entire pantheon and sent the world into irreparable chaos. He raised the seas, unleashed hordes of lost souls from Hades, blocked out the sun, killed Gaia, literally Mother Earth. And no matter how hard he or anyone else tried, he couldn't seem to die. And that's just in one of the games. Baldric. Imagine the smell. What is the weirdest thing you have ever heard in a public place? We were at the library for some writing when a guy on the phone at a nearby table suddenly said, "Yeah, baby. I still love Sharknado." He said it so sincerely, like he was trying to defuse a possible fight. Walking down the street, I overheard guy in a suit on the phone saying, "I just figured we'd better talk about the sandwich thing 'cause I have a feeling it's going to come to a head pretty fast. I cannot conceive of any sandwich thing that could do that." Standing in an elevator, headed to the ground floor of an Atlantic City hotel. Two guys get on dragging their bags and looking very hungover. Quiet. One guy says to his friend, "Things will go back to normal once we get home." His friend says back. Not after that. An old lady to another old lady on the bus. I tried reading the Kama Sutra. I thought it would be erotic, but it just made me very angry. Quote. I was shopping at Best Buy a few years back near Christmas. In the checkout line there was a deaf mom, yelling at her 2 teenage daughters in sign language. She was quite animated and obviously upset. In the middle of this sign language rant, the daughters both turned their back to the mom and started badmouthing her. The rage I saw on that mom's face was frightening. I thought I was about to be witness to a double homicide. I once heard a group of elderly women who were talking about some man still covered in smelling like pussy juice. What is something that you actually remember being new technology, but is now obsolete? Infrared to send files from one phone to another. Not exactly tech, but interactive encyclopedias on CDs. I remember being amazed as a kid. So much information. Sound clips, music, images, even videos and easy search. Now you just have all of that and so much more on Wiki. Caller ID boxes. I used to think we were so fancy since we had the little box with the screen that showed name and number before anyone else we knew had one. CD players, especially in cars. I thought the best thing ever would be to have a CD changer in my car. Now my car doesn't even have a CD player. Laserdisc. Gigantic album-sized CDs, really. At some point in the late 90s Best Buy had a Black Friday sale on writable DVDs. I bought 200. I have about 150 of them left. What job or profession seems easy but is actually very challenging? Just about any position at a veterinary clinic. I get so tired of hearing how fun it must be to play with kittens and puppies all day. Yes, there are puppies and kittens, but we don't play with them. We may sometimes sneak cuddles if time permits on a bad day. The reality is that most of the time we are dealing with clients who are rude and unreasonable. Or even worse sometimes, clients who would move mountains to save their pet but nothing can be done. And the smell gets bad sometimes. OBV. Once you smell parvo you never forget it. And expressing anal glands can be quite nasty as well. But the hardest part is euthanizing a geriatric or injured pet in one exam room. Holding your shit together. And then entering the next exam room for a new puppy check. Be kind to your veterinary professionals. Zookeeper. The ones I know say that it's tiring and smelly. Daycare teacher. Draining. Difficult. Sometimes heartbreaking. Worst experience I ever heard was a kid. 3Y. That was explosively violent. Hitting. Pinching. Occasional biting. Screaming till other classrooms complained. Hair pulling to the point that she ripped out chunks. They would pick up other kids by the hair. Even ripping out some of mine. I literally started going bald because of this kid. My anxiety went through the roof. Panic attacks galore. See, when they were doing all of this, I'm also conducting class, toilet training, serving lunch out snacks, keeping other kids safe. Of course I'm also having to explain to parents when their kid has another bruise. More hair pulled out. Another bite mark. At the end of the day, it was the owner's fault because they refused to kick the kid out. I've had great kids, great parents, great bosses even, but that one sucked donkey balls. Edit. Rip my inbox. Cold sweat smile. Thanks for the awards and comments. Massaging humans is like never-ending arm and leg day at the gym. I don't think a lot of people know that second-handedly. JSUT think when you're so asks for a massage. How do you last before your fingers are tired? Hint. If you're using your fingers you're doing 8T. Wrong anyway lol. Social work, especially when working with traumatized people. The amount of emotional pressure you have to deal with is insane. If you don't have excellent coping strategies and are not 100% professional, this job will break you. I thought nursing would be way easier than it turned out to be. I thought it would be technically difficult, actual physical skills, and emotionally difficult, in terms of trauma and seeing people suffering. But it's actually really draining. Dramatic coworkers, demanding patients, bad bosses, angry families.
Subscribe, my brothers.